Hey guys, Cam here from today's iPhone.com. I have no idea why I introduced my video like that. One of the rumours that came about yesterday was that, and I commented on this when I wrote the article, but apparently, according to one analyst, never trust analysts, instead of replacing the iPhone 4S with the iPhone 5 in the iPhone lineup, which would make complete sense, what Apple is apparently planning is to keep the 4S, have the iPhone 5C, the cheaper, colourful one, and the iPhone 5S. And that would be its lineup, so you'd have an old model with a 30-pin connector and a 3.5-inch screen on the bottom end. Then in the middle, you would have the iPhone 5C, which is a 4-inch screen, but with a really horrible, bright, colourful plastic back. And then the elegant iPhone 5S, which will be apparently available in white, black, and white and gold. Now, as with any rumour, you should take absolutely no notice of it until Apple actually announces something on the event of the iPhone launch, which is supposed to come at the beginning of September, toward the 10th of September, if we're to believe, again, rumours. This one really kind of got under my skin. I wanted to get your opinion. Now, I wrote an article a long while ago, maybe even 7 or 8 weeks ago now, and as soon as budget iPhone rumours started to build up and it looked like it was going to actually happen, one thing I thought was that it actually made a lot of sense if Apple not only wants to get into the emerging markets in China and India and Brazil and those countries with a cheaper version of the iPhone, it would also make sense if it wants to sell it in the States and in the UK and in a lot of Western countries, they would need to add it to its current iPhone lineup. Now, to me, it makes perfect sense that the iPhone 4S is going to disappear. Now, there are lots of reasons for that, and one of them is the connector on the bottom. You'll remember last year, the iPhone 5 debuted with the Lightning connector. It was the first device, and since then, every single other device has been launched with the Lightning cable, and the only one left without a Lightning cable connection is the iPhone 4S. So, would Apple really ditch an iPhone 5, which people will undoubtedly want to buy come September when the new one comes out and they want to get an iPhone 5 for cheaper than what they would get it for now? Or would they throw it away and just keep a really old device on that needs old connectors and a really small screen that nobody wants anymore? Now, of course, there are other reasons why Apple won't keep the iPhone 4S, and like I mentioned the screen briefly, I want to go into a little bit more depth into that screen. It is a 3.5-inch Retina, and as we know, the iPhone 5 is a 4-inch Retina. The 5S, which will probably come out in the next couple of weeks, is also a 4-inch Retina display. The 5C, if it comes out, is a 4-inch display. All of them will have the same size, the same aspect ratio, which means that developers, when they're making iPhone apps, will only have to make apps that fit on one size of iPhone or iPod screen, as well as the iPad mini and the larger iPad. So, for developers, they're going to want to see the end of a 3.5-inch display, because then they don't have to make apps that work on them anymore. And it's just an old phone. I mean, who wants to be seen with an old phone? You can kind of imagine them in the boardroom kind of going, hey! Maybe, I don't think they talk like that. Tim Cook sitting with Johnny Ive, sat around with the coffees, and one of them's holding the iPhone 4S and the other one's holding an iPhone 5, and they think, you know what? Let's get rid of the best iPhone we've ever made and replace it with a rubbish one, or keep the old one, because I don't know why. Why would we do that? Now let's get on to the consumer point of view. Now imagine you're a consumer, you probably are a consumer. You look at Apple's iPhone lineup and you think, right, Apple's going to launch a new iPhone soon. So what they normally do is they drop last year's model down by $100 in the States, and I can still buy it. But I can get it for $100 cheaper. And then what happens is Apple then tells you you can't have that one. Instead, you've got a big, horrible, plastic, colourful, bright green or orange or red or white or yellow, horrible hideousness thing. Makes no sense at all. What do you think? Do you think Apple will keep the 4S or the 5, or do you think the iPhone 5C simply isn't happening anyway? Let us know. Like I said, this comes from an analyst. He's normally quite reliable, but this time I think he's completely way out. Let me know your thoughts on this. I would love to hear what you think. Obviously, we all know that we all want to have a massive 4.5-inch screen on an iPhone, and it's probably not going to happen. So let's just settle on the fact that we're getting an updated version of the 5S, and let's hope they finally get rid of the 4S, which, you know, that iPhone 4S design was, quite frankly, the worst one they've come up with so far. In my opinion. I know some people love it, I just never did. I hated it from the moment it came out. If you want to give me your comments on this topic and you don't want to use YouTube, feel free to get me on Twitter. I'm at TIP_cam, and let's have a good debate about this. I think it's stupid. And let's not get started on the gold iPhone 5S. I can see it happening, don't get me wrong, I just will not be seen dead with a gold iPhone. But that's a different topic altogether. Bye.